Herman Warren is the Economist Corporate Networks Director for Africa, someone who understands our continent very, very well indeed. Herman, good afternoon to you. Thank you very much indeed for coming in. Do appreciate it. I mean, I can't speak for our continent. I wish I had the mandate. But I think a lot of people in Africa are watching this playing out and thinking two things. Firstly, how can America not have reformed its election system after 2000? And two, how could they still be supporting Trump?
Very good questions. In terms of Africa, just addressing that bit, Africa is going to experience its first recession in 25 years. The large economies particularly are not doing well. We're in one of them, South Africa, where we're looking at least an 8% contraction. And then some of the larger kind of components of GDP, such as Nigeria and Angola, also suffering. I mentioned that as an introduction because some of the things that loom large in the economic mix when you think about Africa is the commodity space. Nigeria, Angola, oil. South Africa also generates a significant percentage of its export earnings from what it digs out of the ground. Not necessarily oil, but things like coal and manganese and so on and so forth. So this comes back to the point of how does Africa position itself relative to a Biden presidency or a Trump presidency? And they're starkly different. So Biden is much more trying to push America into the 21st century, renewable energy, more energy efficiency, and so on. And there's an infrastructure investment. And there's a component to that which certainly would benefit Africa. Things like copper loom large in the kind of 21st century economy, steel and things that go into infrastructure. When you think about Trump, he's much more of a 19th/20th century orientation. Let's talk about hydrocarbons, and it goes back to that oil element. So the swings and roundabouts with who will benefit Africa more depending on who gets elected. In terms of the electoral system, it is extremely archaic. It's not about the popular vote. If it was, we wouldn't be talking about Donald Trump as the 45th presidential candidate. He lost the popular vote by 2.9 million votes, but he won overwhelmingly in the Electoral College. I'm sure you've spoken a lot about it. There are 538 Electoral College votes. Some states weigh more heavily than others, and right now where we are is it's coming down to critical swing states, such as Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, and a number of areas that have been thrown up. The American system is what it is, and as archaic and perhaps alien, particularly to those of us in South Africa, it's what the president has to work with and the rest of the American public.
As a general rule, I mean, over the last 20, 30 years,
Yes.
A Democratic president has sort of resonated more with Africa than the Republicans. But it was George W. Bush who spent a lot of American money on PEPFAR and AIDS. He made sure that AGOA continued. Trump, of course, is different. We know the word that he's used to describe some of the countries.
Very flowery adjectives.
Indeed. I'm forbidden by regulation. It cost me 10,000 Rand to use them here.
As am I by my wife.
So my question is, will Africa's economy be badly affected if it turns out that there's 8 years of Trump?
Look, I mean, the frank answer is that neither candidate has particularly expounded on what their Africa policy will be in the next administration. And both of them will focus on the domestic challenges being faced. I think one of the earlier speakers was talking about this America First kind of transactional approach. And Trump has withdrawn in many ways from the international stage. More positive, I'd say, on the Biden side, although his emphasis will be very much on the triple challenges America is facing, the health crisis, the economic crisis among them, and the social discord, is that he's much more multilateralist. He's much more of an institutionalist, reaching across the aisle, bringing people together, maintaining and trying to enhance the world order, whereas that wouldn't be the way I describe Trump. Very transactional and busting up institutions that have been mainstays of the post-World War II kind of framework.
The Art of the Deal was the title of the book, wasn't it? Herman Warren, the Economist Corporate Networks Director in Africa.